but I don't think you're responsible. There's a fight. Right there, there's a fight. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Hi, Jeff Marsacci, the Plain English Attorney, and today we're going to react to a Reddit thread in the estate planning section. My parents are doing estate planning. What should I do? So let's go ahead and we're going to jump into it, but I want to make sure it's clear in these types of threads when people are asking for advice because someone else is doing estate planning, you shouldn't be jumping in and saying, here's what your parents should do. No. They're asking what they should do to support their parents, and that's really where the advice should go to. So let's go ahead. We'll jump into it and see what advice was put out there, including some of mine. My 26 male parents want me involved in the process of planning their estate. What do I need to know? I'm 26. My parents are in their 70s and recently asked that I sit down with them and their attorney to plan their estate and set up a trust. I really appreciate them wanting me to be involved in the process. I guess I'm looking for some general advice. Obviously, it's all their decisions to make, but they want to do what's best for the family, and I know they will really value my opinions and suggestions. A few things about my situation. I don't know exactly their net worth. I do know it's over $2 million, likely significantly more. In terms of beneficiaries, it's mainly just me and my sister. My sister and I are in two very different places in life. She doesn't work, didn't go to college, and regularly makes bad decisions. She has no concept of money, and for that reason, I think it's really important that they set up a trust with strict rules so she can't blow all of the inheritance, etc. She has a daughter too, who my mom is basically the nanny for, and I know what they will want the daughter to benefit from their inheritance in such a way that my sister couldn't interfere with. I, on the other hand, am engaged, have a good job, own my home, and am financially responsible. I think a trust makes sense for me too, but potentially with different rules. If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channels. I want them to spread the wealth to others besides me and my sister, and also make charitable donations. They own their home. They own a 16-unit apartment building out of state. They inherited it, it's paid off, and brings in a lot of money. I don't want it to be sold at the time of their death. I want to take it over and continue the business. I believe they are on the same page. I own, with my mom, a local 2-family house. I do all the work, pay the mortgage, claim the income, and manage the rentals, etc. It's basically mine. My mom gifted the down payment, is on the deed. When the time comes, I want that to go to me, as do they. A friend of mine recently took, quote, early inheritance before his parents passed. I really like the idea of this because I'd love for my parents to see the impact their gift has on me and have it be able to change my life while they are still alive, if that makes sense. It could mean that I could spend more time with them and enjoy the time we have left together. Appreciate any suggestions. Okay, so did a very good job of laying out the general situation. But again, remember the main question is, what should I know? Not necessarily what should I do. So let's take a look at some of the advice. They should create a trust that gives you the duplex and whatever else they want. They should consider a unit trust for whatever they give to your sister. It can pay her income for life without ever letting her control it or deplete the principal. I recommend no more than a 4% payoff for her unitrust. When it comes to charity, I am all for it. I ask my clients to not only consider what they are leaving their kids, but what kind of world they are leaving their kids. I encourage leaving money to charities that they think will make the world a better place. And the poster, love it, thanks. Okay, but maybe that's good advice, but maybe not. That quote unit trust. Basically, okay, it's in trust, and that income has to go to that daughter. The daughter who regularly makes bad decisions and ends up getting this money that could grow colossally, and it's going to just keep that income rising. You know, it's 4%. Well, 4% of the income, and if it grows an awful lot, that could still be an awful lot of money, and it's going to a person who makes bad decisions without some kind of trustee intervention making the decisions. This is why I tend to not want to put into trusts, especially for beneficiaries that may not be responsible. You must give them this. You have to give them this. You should never give them this. No, look, if you trust your trustee, name the right kind of trustee, name the right person, and let them utilize their best judgment. This means they're going to get what they need, but if there's a problem, then the beneficiary isn't just getting money that they could blow. What if it turns out this is going to be about $200,000 a year, and the daughter who makes bad decisions ends up with a drug problem? $200,000 a year could end up killing her. Let's see what else we've got here. And this was my post. This is what I put out. Quite a few things going on here. I'm not going to make suggestions about what your parents should do because that is entirely up to them. However, there are a few topics you should probably look into that may come up in this discussion with your parents and their attorney. You can look into ahead of time. First point, sounds like your sister can't handle an outright inheritance. Your parents may be looking to you to potentially be a trustee to oversee her share, which may be for her lifetime, with provisions for her daughter to receive anything left over when your sister passes on. This could be a big commitment lasting a lifetime, so think about whether or not you are up for this. One potential suggestion is to have a corporate trustee as last on whatever list of trustees your parents choose. So again, putting the discretion in there, having the corporate trustee. Well, why would I put that? Aren't they just going to be getting paid? Well, yeah, they're going to get paid as a corporate trustee for being the trustee. But it also takes out a lot of the emotion in these decisions so that it ends up, well, yes, the trustee, which is a business, said no. And then it can't come back on the brother. So that's also something to consider. But don't leave her anything outright. And in fact, leave her the income. Again, bad things can happen if this income is coming in, and it's definitely going to keep coming in. Let's go a little bit further now. You are already in business and your parents have a business that may want to pass along for you to manage. Discussions on family limited partnerships or family LLCs may come up. Here's a starter video to check out, and we'll put the link in this video as well. There's a lot more to look into and discuss with your parents' attorney if you are going to end up taking control of a corporate structure before or after they pass on. And sometimes I have this in my own practice with clients who are very business savvy. They have several businesses. Maybe it's the same exact business, but they've got several franchises and they're each in individual LLCs or corporations, and maybe there's a management company involved. And at that point, looking at a limited partnership to tie it together, to convey value if there's a potential estate tax problem, but not convey control until they're ready to give it up through the general partner shares. Really check out that video. It kind of explains the whole concept of a limited partnership. That family limited partnership has, it's just family dynamics and how that ends up working. So that video tells you an awful lot about that. So if there are multiple businesses, this might be something to check into. And it sounds like, all right, there's already the apartment complex, but then there's a rental unit. If they're looking to do more, a limited partnership might be something to look into for the family. Very likely a revocable living trust will be discussed, and there's a more fun webinar I did on avoiding probate at estatecrashcoursewebinar.com. It was actually estate planning bigger than Beyonce. And it really does kind of get right to the point about avoiding probate, getting the control and the assets over to the beneficiaries in the right way very quickly without the hassle of probate. That's what the video is about, and it's a good one to watch. All right. Moving on, there's also no shortage of other resources out there on revocable living trusts, and they could give you a good background before meeting with the attorney. There is also potential to set up a trust for you that can protect you during your lifetime from lawsuits, divorcing spouses, etc., that we call a beneficiary trust in my practice. It allows you to have some control as a trustee, but there is a special co-trustee who can take sole control of the trust if there is an issue. I have a video coming out that explains this type of trust, but not for another week or so. Well, it's up. I'll put the link to that below as well. If you really want to see this one, message me. Hope that helps. All right, another piece of advice. If you sit down with your parents and lawyer to discuss any of this, there is a possibility that your sister and or her daughter could later complain about your, quote, undue influence. Even if their claim is frivolous, it's still a hassle, and you would still have to respond. Let's see. Okay. That's also a very real thing. Ethically, the attorney should meet separately with the parents to make sure that there isn't some kind of undue influence. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like the parents are inviting him along, not you dragging them along. Nonetheless, if there's anything or any potential possibility that a beneficiary may say something, I try to meet separately with the people setting up the estate just to make sure, and I make notes. If it really could seem like it would be a big issue, there are also portions that the attorney could record on video discussing what they're doing and the reasons for it, specifically related to those other beneficiaries. Let's see what else we've got here. Thanks for the heads up on this. I will consult my attorney on the matter, not my parents' attorney. The reality is they wish they could discuss it with her too, but due to her mental health issues, histrionic and bipolar, she wouldn't really be capable. Also, we're all worried if my sister finds out how much will be left to her, it could negatively impact her life. She could get in the mindset of, I don't need to get a job, I'll be set for life when my parents die. She has the maturity of a 14-year-old currently. Hopefully, she will mature and be able to discuss this stuff with them at some point. I'd like to think my sister would never make any allegations like that, but with her mental issues, I wouldn't put it past her. So far, some good advice being given. Not to just give stuff outright to the sister, but also we get a little more information on the sister. Definitely she needs to be protected, which also means the daughter needs to be protected. The daughter's daughter, the granddaughter, needs to be protected. Definitely consider a lifetime trust that your parents create and fund during their lifetime and transfer their home to the... That should have been trust. Also, make sure that the attorney spends time with your parents alone to make sure that he is getting his instructions from them, not from you, especially if they are doing something different for your sister to avoid the possibility of undue influence. The trust can contain language that is the same for you and your sister. It makes distributions of principal at different ages, like a quarter at age X, half of the remainder at age Y, and the rest at age Z. I'm going to break right here. It sounds like she shouldn't be getting anything outright. It should be protected in trusts. Now, that other video that I mentioned about the beneficiary trust, I'm kind of comparing and contrasting with an asset management trust. That is very likely going to be a better way to go. So hopefully the attorney will be discussing that with the parents. All right, we'll pick it up. Then elsewhere in the trust agreement, put in provisions allowing the trustee to continue any trust if, in the trustee's discretion, the trustee believes that it is in the best interest of the beneficiary. All right, why even put the distributions at certain ages for the daughter, meaning the poster's sister? It just leaves open a way to challenge, and, well, now the trustee has to say, well, you're 30, you were supposed to get a third at age 30, but I don't think you're responsible. There's a fight. Right there, there's a fight. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Just, the parents need to do what they want to do, but keeping it in the discretion of the trustee and not mandating some certain ages, but then give away to claw, that just is setting up a fight with the daughter and the trustee. All right, let's continue on. And include a trust protector provision for someone, maybe the drafting attorney, can remove and replace a trustee. All right, that brings in a good point about trust protectors, and generally we're putting in a trust protector as a backstop. And I'll probably do a whole video on that and its ways to avoid things getting dragged into court. A trust protector can remove a trustee if they think that the trustee is stealing money, not using their best judgment. They can just remove them, and then it typically, at least the way we do it, it falls to the next trustee in the list. I've seen some trust protector provisions that go way overboard, that actually, if it is the drafting attorney and they're the trust protector, they get to make themselves the trustee. And whoa, no, that's not a trust protector, that's a trust replacer. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Thanks. My parents said they want me to play some role in it. I believe that means they want me to be the executor, but not the trustee. They said it's important I'm not the trustee because that opens the door for undue influence. Is it a bad idea for me to be the executor? Okay. Executor means you're handling the probate piece of it. Trustee means you're settling the trust if it's a revocable trust, and then you're doing the ongoing things, the ongoing management for the beneficiaries. I really don't see much of a reason to have different people. The real question, it's not a conflict of interest. It's the family dynamic. If the sister is going to be so pissed off at her brother being the trustee, then it's a family dynamic thing. And then maybe it is better to look outside for being the trustee, but then make the trustee also the executor. If we were doing something like the family limited partnership, then maybe giving him the general partnership shares means he's running the business, with the potential profits of the business being able to go to his sister in trust with a different person. So just a lot of different options that are out there to consider. Okay. No, it's not a bad idea to be the executor or the trustee. In fact, if you were appointed as either as the executor or as trustee, your sister could have an objection. However, if all the assets are in a lifetime trust, then nothing really needs to pass under a will, so it might not even have to be probated. That's the avoiding probate piece. Very effective. Your parents should be the trustees of their own trust with the power to appoint co-trustees and successor trustees and to remove trustees, and all good revocable living trusts do. And then you can be a successor trustee who serves at the time of their death, but with your sister as the successor trustee. Because at that point, she would be the only surviving relative. Oh, I guess they mean after the successor trustee if anything happens to him. Why would you turn all that money over to someone who is that irresponsible? I'm not understanding why that's in there. That seems to be the main point from the parents' point of view. She's not responsible. She's not going to be able to handle this. The key is to make sure that your parents' attorney documents that it is your parents' decision to involve you, not your decision. Correct. We've talked about that. And make sure that he meets with your parents alone to confirm their wishes. If you want to be even more careful, have your parents get to the attorney's office on their own and you arrive separately. Yep. Not a bad point. Not a bad point at all. All right. Joint tenants is named on a deed, saves from probate because when one dies. Okay. Not really understanding that one. Let's go to the next one. Be cautious about becoming trustee of a trust for your sister and her children. Otherwise, you could find yourself having to continually reject her requests for distributions. Ask about arrangements that let you have a hands-off supervisory role, while an institutional trustee is the mean guy that rejects requests for more money. Not a bad idea, but then you're getting a kind of co-trustee relationship. Not really fond of that. You may also be involved in your parents' revocable trust as a successor trustee if they are no longer able or willing to manage their financial affairs. Be sure to understand the conditions/triggers and the process for becoming a successor trustee. Good point. Keep in mind that you want to have things well documented so your sister cannot later make objections to what you do as successor trustee. So, yes, as a trustee, you always want to document what you're doing. How thoroughly do you need to document things within a trust? Dependent on state law, but usually it's a lot less strict and formal than actually going to court and having to report to a court. So, lots of stuff and lots of good information in there. I hope you found that information and that analysis useful. If there's any kind of updates from the poster, I'll try to put this in a subsequent video to see how things went. And as I always tell my clients, please stay safe, plan ahead, and enjoy life. And whatever you do, make it a great day.